Observe, class, we have here a Tyrannosaurus rex, as scientists in the 80s believed them to be, upright. Scientists of today refer to scientists of the 80s as idiots, as we now know the Tyrannosaurus was horizontal in stature. Also, according to this diagram, they've grown to the size of a football field since the 80s. Pretty sure that is wrong. I don't get to review Sentai toys as often as I'd like, but this year we got dinosaurs again with a collectible gimmick, and we know by now I have a weakness for those. So let's look over Juden Sentai Kyoryuger's Kyoryujin. Before we start, I'm going to show the box, which my rules say you only mention if it's noteworthy, and in this case, it is, because it's freaking huge! I could use this thing as an end table if I wanted to. Just something to keep in mind when ordering. Don't expect this to ship SAL. I guess we should start with the T-Rex in the room. The central piece of the set is naturally Kyoryured's Gabutira, and it's pretty much his fault the box is so big. This guy measures in at 11 inches tall and 16 inches long, to the point where getting the whole toy in frame exposes bits of my room I try not to show. I'll also admit, he's kind of a funky looking lizard with a giant head to accommodate the gimmick and massive feet so he doesn't fall onto his giant head. Between that and the bright yellow and red colors, he has a certain play school quality to him. I feel like if I walked by him at a Target, some roaring and dancing would commence. Beyond that, I do like the silver trim across his body. Adds a sturdier look to him, like the whole body's been reinforced. Play-wise, there's no articulation to him, which isn't surprising for a Sentai animal. Best you can do is tilt the head if you want your T-Rex confused. We have a button to hit, though. Well, first we have to turn him on. Now we can hit the button. Not a bad roar effect. For a bit more, we need some help, namely from his Judenshi, or Beast Battery, which I will refer to these as since I don't have to think to pronounce it. Yup, it's a toy battery, complete with a nub sticking out on the positive end. Name on the back side, and on the front, a clear window with a sticker inside. Hitting the button makes it flip to a shiny colored sticker to show it turning on. Makes no difference when using it in Gabutira, just a neat trick for it. For one extra trick, the off side actually glows in the dark, so turn out the lights and its off side is the one that looks on, and vice versa. It's a small trick, but worth noting, since technically this means the fake batteries can be charged. Now back to our regularly scheduled Tyrannosaurus. As you guessed by the little plastic tips, this is going to hit a series of buttons in Gabutira's mouth to tell it what battery I'm using. We insert. For added gimmick, biting down on the battery causes spikes representing feathers that T-Rex may or may not have had to spring up to show he's in battle mode. From here, if I hit the button again, he's going to think it's time to transform, but it's not, because we have two others to look at in this set. First up, number 3, Stegochi, Kyoryu Blue Stegosaurus. It's a squat little dino, and appropriately so, very bulky and heavy looking. He carries the same silver pipe and yellow striping color scheme, and it looks really nice on him, especially as the plates that are molded to look more like saw teeth than traditional Stegosaurus spines. I should say for those worried about the tail spikes, these are soft plastic, so they're not breaking off, nor are they sending your kid's sister to the hospital. Again, no articulation, so let's try his Beast Battery, which requires us to pull his head away from his jaw a terrifying amount. Two things to note. 1. No electronics in the arm dinos, so inserting battery makes no noise. 2. To activate the gimmick on these, you have to press a button on the belly to get the battery all the way in. For Stegochi, it raises a blade between his row of plates. Very simple gimmick, but like the frills on Gabutira, it's just an activation effect. That leaves number 5, Drikira, the Triceratops of Kyoryu Pink. It's a squat little dino, and appropriately so. Huh. Well, anyway, we have a similar aesthetic going on as well, though the yellow and pink don't quite go together as well as the others, but that's a personal preference. I'm just happy they didn't cop out and make Pink's mech white with pink stripes. Naturally, as a Triceratops, most of the interesting molding is in the head, with massive horns and plating that again features that reinforced bar detail. At the tail end is, well, the tail, done here as a massive drill. This time, for the battery, we've got those horns to deal with, but it all hinges out of the way to pull Drakira's head open. With the battery in, the tail springs out. And you thought Stegachi's was underwhelming, but again, it's just a bit of gimmick to show they've entered battle mode. Also should say, with the battery all the way in, the belly button ejects them. Good thinking, since they're too deep to pull out. Now we could move on to the main event, or I could demo the batteries with the Gabu Revolver. Gotta show you everything this set lets you do after all, right? The transformation noise is the same regardless of what battery you use, so we'll focus on the big attack noise. What I like is each battery has two noises depending on which barrel the battery is loaded in. This might also be your first chance to hear two Gabutiras at the same time. So there's that. Okay, now we can combine. For the most part, we'll be doing this properly. To begin, cycle through the batteries of the Juden Ryu you'll be using. This tells Gabutira the order you'll be combining them in, since the sockets for the arms can't identify batteries like the mouth can. To make things easier, we'll transform Stegachi and Drakira first, which is pretty simple all things considered, with the only difference being how you handle the parts on their backs. Add the batteries back in without hitting the button on the belly. That will lock them halfway out so they can activate Kyoryujin properly. From here, you're supposed to hit the button on Gabutira and start combining, but it's easier to transform him first and not have to listen to the music through the entire process. There's some part forming with the tail, which also contains the helmet, so don't just set it aside. There's actually more transforming here than I expected. It's mostly in the legs, but I like the little additions, like the panels that fold down to make the legs look more solid. Of course, he forms the body of Kyoryujin. We just need the arms. So let's start this properly. It's a fun noise, but would you want to hear it the whole time? Now remember, you have to combine them in the same order you use the batteries in. Okay, I gotta admit, that is an awesome sound effect. It makes me feel like I'm playing with a Kamen Rider toy with the IDing feature and transformation music when the right combination is used. So now that it's combined, it's a beast of a robot with massive arms and enormous shoulders. He comes off kind of gorilla looking, but he also looks like he could annihilate anything he swung at. This is where the detailing pays off. The bars going through the chest and shoulders look really good here, and the yellow does a great job pulling all the parts together despite the different primary colors. Among the other nice choices, leaving enough of the tail off of one shoulder to balance out the head on the other, which helps keep his silhouette balanced. Also, since this is the snapping combination, you'll notice Stagachi and Drikera are holding on by biting onto Gabutira. It's the little details that are the coolest sometimes. Naturally, there's the head as well, with a crown of spikes at the top. Love how this looks. Very cool molding. As for features, you have shoulders with 90 degrees of forward rotation to them. Now this would trip my gimmicks are evil alarm, except Sentai toys rarely have more than this in the first place, so I don't feel like we're being cheated anything here. We also have Stagachi's spines, which transform into a shield that clips into his hand. Looks very nice. I like shields that look like they can be used to attack, too. Speaking of, if that's not enough, it can also become the Gorin Judenken, a sawtooth sword that is really ferocious looking for a ranger weapon. Do like the added touch of all 5 Kyoryujin colors being on the blade, which goes into how it's used in the show. A couple things to mention. If I hit the button again, I can hear the final transformation noise again, but I really would have liked to have got some big final attack noise to go with everything else. I can unlock attack effects with any of the other Guardian Beast batteries though. Also, I've seen this toy criticized for cheaping out by using very similar molds for both Stagachi and Drikera, in particular each hand having a middle thumb so the mold can be either arm. I counter this with the word Shogun Zord. It's nothing new, and I like how it gives the arms a more unified look, and how the middle thumb lets me use any arm on any side, which is really helpful on the new release, Plesio, who can only use one at a time. So yeah, if you saw that critique elsewhere, I disagree with it. This has been a lot to get through. So, final verdict? While it's not the best all-around Sentai mech I own, I can honestly say it is the most fun I've had with one. The sound effects during transformation make the act very satisfying, and it's a lot of fun to try out different batteries and combinations. I like the look, I love the sounds, I really love how I get all the features I've come to expect from both Sentai mechs and Kamen Rider belts out of the same toy. All around, it's a phenomenal job, and I'm really eager to add to my Juden Ryu collection. But then again, I already have added to it.